Done.
Start yeah. Hello. Extremely sorry for the delay due to some IT issues. Good evening, friends, students, and professionals. As a principal of SB Patil College of Architecture and Design from Pimpri Chinchwad Education Trust and affiliated to Savitribai Phule Pune University, today we are honored to have us we have amongst us the esteemed presence of an architect whose accomplishments are reaching heights unscalable. He has made this global presence through extraordinary projects in his various domains and left his masterstroke in a way that puts him high up with the top notch in the Architectural Hall of Fame. Quality, practicality, timeless is his mantra. He believes working for sustainability while adhering to local contexts and believing in coexistence, keeping this theme. All his excellent award-winning projects make their mark in modern-day architecture. Architect Hiten Sethi is a recipient of national and international awards for his iconic assignments, namely Navi Mumbai Municipal Corporation headquarters at Bellapur. It's the first Indian green municipal building and has entered the Limca Book of Records. His citations are to his credits. National Cancer Institute Nagpur has been awarded the best design of oncology center in South Asia Pacific by GHT Singapore in 2017. Best New Hospital of the Year in Asia Pacific by GST Saigon in 2018. He's also won the Extradite Award Singapore as an Architect of the Year for his projects, Amaranthe at Colomboli for his residential architecture, Wonder Park, one of his best projects at Nerul in best leisure architecture, and many more. Some of his clients includes government and private entities such as SIDCO, NMMC, Government of Karnataka, Government of Assam, UT Administration of Daman and Diu, IDBI, Bank of India, Reliance Industries, L&T, NISM Initiative of SEBI, and much more. Expert member in the State Expert Appraisal Committee by Ministry of Environment and Forest, Government of India. He's also been honored to be the co-chairman of Mumbai chapter of CIA Indian Green Building Council, member of Council of on Tall Buildings and Urban Habitat, Chicago, United States. The person who has left his footprint on the map with millions of square feet of handled projects worth billions of rupees, he still remains a sensitive man who believes in helping those in need as a great humanitarian. The pandemic situation of COVID-19 has seen him voluntarily to feed the hungry, thus proving that humanity is a success, is the mark of a true achiever. I am very pleased here to share with you our alma mater, Sir J.J. College of Architecture, Mumbai. We have many wonderful memories of our times together, and it makes me proud to see him to be an inspirational personality and share his wisdom and experience with us today evening. Let us also welcome him and benefit the profound knowledge of his domain expertise. Thanking you for agreeing to do this, Hitenji, at a very short notice. I welcome Hiten Sethi and I now request you to proceed with the presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Mahendra Sonamne. When we are classmates, it's become very formal to, address like Doctor, Mr. So we have been buddies and we have been classmates and we share actual lovely memories. So I would like to thank SB Patil College of Architecture and Design and the Complete Trust who took this initiative in knowledge sharing session. And this is my first time that I'm sharing my experience and my case study with you people. Please feel free to ask questions after the session ends. If you allow, I can start my presentation. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to share I would like to share my experience in the vertical field of healthcare industry. As architects, you're supposed to be versatile and supposed to have in-depth knowledge about literally all the things, whatever comes your way. I would not say that we were experts. Say around 4 years back, I've not done any healthcare project, but eventually, as I got the opportunity to design one of the largest cancer institutes in Nagpur, called National Cancer Institute, that was my first endeavor. And after that, in last 4 years, we have bagged more than 4 to 5 projects, including Cancer Hospital at Guwahati, Fortis Mulund, and so on and so forth. And in this COVID time, I was able to successfully, I was appointed by Honorary Municipal Commissioner Navi Mumbai Mahanagar Palika to have a 1200 bed COVID care hospital, which they wanted to transform Vashi Exhibition Center into one of them. So we were able to successfully handle 1150 beds hospital, and we were able to deliver the whole thing in 20 days. With this, I would like to share my first case study of National Cancer Institute, Nagpur. Before that, principal has already shared my resume, but I think the mantra which has always inspired me is that you are what your deep driving desire is. As your desire is, so is your will. As your will is, so is your day. As your deed is, so your destiny. So this is the time when we all started at from stage zero after graduation, and believing in something definitely anchors your life to a particular position, and gives you confidence to face opportunities and challenges to come. I have been very active on many forums, and with this, I had got an opportunity to participate in many prestigious competitions globally. And basically, we come to a bottom line that what we believe is in contributing of higher happiness index to its users through sustainable, innovative, and excellent designs. So about this NCI, I think it all started with what the client stands for. So logo of NCI, when we saw, we wanted to understand before we start our practice, start putting design parameters on paper. So we understood that what client comes from. I mean, NCI has been a trust which has been in existence for a long time. We first went to the philosophy of their works and their aims and objectives. So we summarized their whole understanding into a basic part that cancer is a disease. So this is disorder, and ease is corrected at ease by opting corrective treatments and adopting preventive measures during and post the treatment. So what they followed was 5 P's, which actually gave us. So this was the base where we formulated a design strategy to get into the things. So NCI follows the 5P approaches, that was predictive, precise, preventive, personalized, participatory. So this was what was a brief given to us, and we were supposed to design the whole concept with these parameters in mind and what NCI stands for. The site was on a highway in Nagpur. We wondered why Nagpur, why such a big hospital needed in Nagpur. And then we realized that it is the demographics and topography of the hospitals there, that this would ideally become a central hub uh, for cancer treatment, not only from Maharashtra, but also from Madhya Pradesh and Karnataka and so on. So this actually has become a hub of Cancer Institute, and I see lots of people who used to go to Tatas have started diverting into this. Uh, so as that my mother was suffering from cancer 2 years back, and she was detected stage 1 cancer, and of course with my being present here, Tatas and everything, we went there. But somehow I had more confidence on something which I was creating, and I requested my parents that I want the treatment to be done in NCI Nagpur. And with such a commitment of everybody, I think the thing was successful, and still everything is under control. And I really had a gratitude that it was a seldom opportunity that I got to design this particular thing, and years later my mother was being treated here itself. So the whole concept of a bird flying freely uh, gave me a particular concept of a structure which has flaps in form of wings, which indicate a new exhibit of freedom. So the whole design moved around a particular concept that this uh, building should depict certain characters which the NCI stood for. It was on the main road, and so the main highway. It became very imperative for me to have something very imposing in terms of an architecture piece. And so the whole philosophy started moving around to what kind of design do we like to do? We break the buildings into various parts and make 15 buildings into one particular complex. But then I have been very savvy on open spaces and greenery and normally like to work towards reducing a heat island effects and ambience on the particular thing. So I decided that this particular project we need to have a self-imposing single mass structure um, as phase one, which is around 500 beds hospital. Uh, so this is the whole bird's eye view of phase one, where we had a very welcoming entrance. So important was that ease of directional guidance is important. As you know that once we enter hospital, we are already lost in the whole volume and the whole gamut of the areas. So design depicts a very unidirectional and very simplified guidance system in terms of OPDs, uh, inpatient, emergencies, visitors, doctors, staffs. So we segregated all the kind of traffics which will be using this property, uh, and then we started designing the whole thing. Uh, Vehicular and pedestrian entrance, because the space is quite a huge space. So a very smart or a convenient kind of systems were to be evolved in which there was ease of people walking, and there was a segregated space for the driveways so that people do not interact on that particular surface at many places. So streetscapes were designed accordingly with shades for people who are going to walk in. Water bodies were introduced in the whole circulation patterns to create a better microclimate. All the transition spaces which you see inside the building and outside the building were sort of interconnected, uh, and some trans spaces were created in such a way that it does not look like an environment from one particular world to another particular world. A lot many light wells were created in terms of courtyards and gardens. Uh, Lots of activities which need screening, like mogs and infectious diseases and pandemic kind of things which may come as a cancer patient, need to be approached in the same way. Passive landscape spaces were to be organized in a more efficient way. And most important is the whole MEP of the particular building were to be sort of integrated, so it looks like a one unit and with total coordination and synergy. So if we go to my master plan, so if you see from the southern part, we had a complete highway, and we were able to create a 9 meters. Now it's been increased to 15 meters service road. So once you enter, we had two ways in which you enter. You have a lobby area at the ground level, and then you had a main hospital building, which is you can see it in brown color. Then we had also a future uh, phasing, which is going to have studio apartments for bachelors and ROM quarters, nurses hostel, nursing college hostel, service buildings, because the services is a huge requirement on this particular thing. Yatri Niwas, so the hospitals you go, there's hardly seldom be any place for the relatives to stay there. And cancer being such a disease, if you have one patient, normally you'll have four helpers or the family members to go along with them. And these are not OPDs where people will just come for a day or two and then go back. These are the treatment times. If a person is supposed to stay there, then it's for a longer duration. Or otherwise, it's just a general OPDs or sort of other treatments which needs to be done and people can move out. The whole particular area was evolved in such a way that minimum distances, like a smart planning for the campus, Uh, so all the distances, walking distances were below 100 meters or so that there is no major travel. And at the same time, they had their own independent privacy and private green spaces all along for the whole thing. So if we go, so this particular thing, the basic features, what we did was that along with the main building, the campuses, I'll explain you, Yatri Nivas College, hospital, staff housing, facility, utilities. So all these particular things, though have a different identity altogether, were integrated by is being integrated by a very robust IBVS system, in which the whole services are can be monitored at a single space. Uh, just hold on. Hello. Yeah. What's that? Just hold on. So this IT should make. हाँ. What do you want? वो तो अभी चालू होगा ना, कैसे जाएगा मतलब? नहीं, वो नहीं हो रहा है. And this notification is still not going, huh? Waiting room, share screen, chat with. Okay. So can we start now? So okay. I'm sorry. I think the traffic flow is being out of proportion for people to handle. Anyway, so the featured so the whole project got registered with the IGBC gold rating system, and now I'll tell you exactly how we sort of approached the whole thing. So if you see the whole site, we had the beautiful long site which we had At number 1 and 2, we had entry exits. We had complete driveways for people, which was later on converted as a right ambience between the car parking spaces and this thing. We created a cycle tracks in and around for people to move around in bicycles. I'm talking about staffs and even doctors, as a matter of fact. We also created two-wheeler parking. Nagpur, I mean, sees more of two-wheeler entrances, two-wheeler accesses. So, lot many parking spaces have been created for those users. Lots of gardens of different types have been utilized, which have been termed as healing gardens. Healing gardens will have a different purpose. So there is a healing garden for patients. There is a healing garden for um, users, office goers. There is a healing gardens for accompany people who accompany the patients. So there are different kind of ambulances which have been created at different levels of the hospital as terrace gardens, as well as the open spaces on the ground, whichever are available. So as far as the facility goes, medical and facility planning, we have created a diagnostic and services, emergency services, ambulatory services, surgical suites, clinical and general support staff, and hospital engineering services. So these have been the main services which have been sort of organized. Now, if you go to the basic planning of the whole system, so we have created a ground floor plan in which later on, I mean, what you see entrance here, we have to add another 10,000 square feet of reception lobby because the kind of info which we saw in our opening of phase one was tremendous. And the whole thing was a double height. It's been designed as a double height structure. So at the same time, when you enter the ground floor, we have emergency critical service unit, which you can see on the pink area. Then you have diagnostic suites, uh, which are placed on one particular side. Then you have the central area, which is totally taken care by uh, transfusion medicine on the right. Then we have diagnostic laboratory suites, which were given. Food service units were placed at one side, which was next to Yatri Niwas, so the both things can be functioning together in the single kitchen, huge kitchen. Then we had administration on one side next to the emergency services, so people don't have to really walk too much of distance and use the facility at the most appropriate spaces. Then we have the imaging, diagnostic imaging units, which have been placed on one particular side, which are consolidated into one particular unit, so that again it becomes a consolidated area with the minimum passages and all interconnected activities placed under one zone. Um, and so on. If you go further, then you had two bays of centralized lift. If you see, which if you see here, this bay, and then we had another base for doctors and other people on these particular sites. Then we are also created some internal staircases for services happening at the basement level and so forth. So this whole particular ground floor facility eventually created maximum people who had a walkable requirements. Mind you, the main lobby area is not in this particular plan, which is a segregated block, and out of which it is all connected to escalators from top and ground floor. If you go further, then we have go to the basement. Then we had treatment rooms. You see the Linex, the four Linex, which have been created for radiation as a radiation rooms. We had so these were eventually created, which by 1.2 meter, 1.4 meter thick walls, and at places around 2 meters thick walls. Then we had treatment rooms because before going to Linex, so there is a treatment planning which is required. If you see, it's centralized so that people who you come into the corridor uh, between the Linex and the treatment planning have come to this particular area. They are all interconnected with the thing. So all the basically doctors of radiation therapists and chief medical therapists, all physicists, and all these particular things were placed in this particular chamber. The molds which are required also created. So there's no once a person enters this zone, he doesn't have to go out of this particular zone. Similarly, on the simulation area, we had physicists and CI simulator and MRI simulators, which you see in this particular pink area. And then you have scrub areas and brachytherapy. So brachytherapy machine in this particular plan is This is one of the latest machines which are available over in this part of Asia. So similarly, these are the banks of lifts which enter to this zone. So we actually have taken only one set of lifts from one side which enter to this part basement, because it's not a full basement, it's a small basement, so that we can conclude and we can sort of control the flow of people. Similarly, if you go on the mezzanine floor, um, so here also we had the double height Linux. You can see. Then we created a physical therapy units with medical records, and all the services regarding for the lower levels have been created in this particular area for AHU chillers. Then we go to the first floor, in which we had this whole lobby which is coming at the front, and then you have the main entrance happening at this particular zone also. And then we had some space for the kiosk, and then we had OPD registration, the huge hall which has natural ventilation, and so on and so forth. Then we had IP registration zones which are at the back. All the waitings whichever are there are to the structural glazing. Like, yeah, okay. So all these particular things are created in the all the waiting areas. All the waiting areas have been given this particular zone, which have natural ventilation, and which has the whole lot of consoling and different kind of waiting rooms which are required for the people. So individual toilets have been placed next to the staircases, so that there's no further movement. Uh, ah, so we had different zones now coming on. So we created OPD registrations over this area. Then we had given a clean open space for people to go to the cafeterias, so that all these travel it is overlooking a huge landscape area. On the upper level, again, we have created the open terraces, which gives lots of light intrusion even happening to get the light inside. So all the consultancy OPDs and everything have been placed along both the sides of IPDs depending on the areas. And on your east, then you see we have placed auditoriums, which are basically for the academic staff and doctors, which again have open terrace in time. In times, they have lots of discussions and programs happening in knowledge sharing and case study sharing. So there are lots of research centers which have been also introduced now later on in this particular zone. As you go higher, we have another second floor plan which have similar kind of facilities about so male and female general wards which have been placed at one line. Now you see there is a inclusions of two uh, daylight skylights which have been introduced. If you see this wide, so these are basically created so that when we have the wards coming inside, there are lots of lights which keep on infiltrates into these particular inner areas. So all these particular spaces were created in such a way that all livable spaces have natural light happening at all the time. Then we had a second in the middle. We had the chemo and infusion therapy a room with the clinical research happening on one particular side. Then we had a pre-op daycare beds and sterile, where lots of sterile and clean corridors were created in terms of organizing the whole system uh, as a centralized thing around PICU and OTs. Similarly, as you go up, the whole you see another courtyard now being added because the functions now changes on the upper floor. And again, I needed the lights, and all the corridors need to be lighted. I don't like dingy spaces being created inside my rooms. And then you have lots of this in terms of emergency rooms and PICUs. Independent waiting areas were created, which also overlook these open areas. So at any given time, there was no congestion in individual cases, not even in ICUs, which were like centrally located. Whatever you see, or different patients sections which were created on the either side of the building. Um, Again, you see the terraces now recedes down, but then there are lots of semi terraces which are being created now within the building with some recesses. Then on the upper floor, there are lots of academic blocks and all were being created, which had SICU and so on. It's the same benefit what we've been creating out of the whole thing. Then we have admin academics, which enter in the mezzanine floor. Actually, fourth floor was like main floor for IT, uh, operation theaters, and so on. So that we had the skip floor on the upper level where I was able to use these particular areas for uh, all these particular areas for my services which are required for OTs. Now we have converted the part of these particular things to the administration also. Again, fifth floor when we go, we had pediatric wards. Then we had bone marrow transplant units, which needed special kind of isolations and treatment. And then we have executive rooms for the thing. So whole particular thing, as you know, NBC allows only 45 meters now. So these particular things, this is a typical section of the whole building which we sort of got it. And at every given places, we were able to segregate it with the similar kind of vertical circulations and horizontal movements, so that there's no crisscross connections of any kind of movement space which are happening with this particular. Mind you, this cantilever which you see is a 21-meter cantilever which we were able to do it. It itself was a structurally a big challenge to create a thing. So after my third floor, I had to convert my building, the either side building on my east and west side as steel structures. So we had to get we were able to get Jindal JSW as a collaborative partners for contractorship, because it was a very delicate job of designing a 21 meter building and two live floors on top of that 21-meter cantilever building and two live floors. So overall, that's how we segregated the areas when we did splitting of steel structures and other things, and we were able to come to around 7 lakh square feet for the whole main structure. So before we actually design, so these were the internal plannings. But you know what happens is you actually start a particular design with the orientation depending upon how your climate is going to be, because the building is had to be all fully air conditioned. So the most important is your design had to be sustainable. So you have to study that what kind of climate is existing there, and what are the hot summers. We have actually laid the slabs at though they say 48 degrees, but unofficially everybody used to say it's going to be 50 degrees or 49 degrees centigrade. And even for curing of concrete, when the casting was going on in the evening areas, we had actually ice which was arranged at site, so that the curing goes on well in time, and so on and so forth. Similarly, we had climate, and so climate analysis were taken care of. Uh, so the whole idea was to have a very comfortable indoor air quality and air infiltration, thermal comfort in terms of all the kind of climatic changes which happens in Nagpur. So studies on how the things are to be done. And as my usual part is somewhere I needed a diamond shape grade at the top. If you see, we created a diamond grade shape, and then we had a semi-anodized glazing at the bottom. Then we created louvers for the users to see the rooms which were there. So I didn't want to give direct sunlight over there. This is a southern face, and so we created a lot of louvers, deep louvers, in terms of horizontal fence. And with this kind of with these kinds of cantilevers, there were shadows which were created simultaneously, so that the efficiency of the building was taken care of. So these kind of cladding, so there somewhere there were vertical claddings, vertical louvers, there were horizontal louvers, but the whole features was composed by keeping minimal glass and more on mass, though it gives a very beautiful and plush kind of feeling. But glass to wall ratio was kept only 22%. So so we normally as architects we normally believe in creating two sustainable parameters to divide into two parts as active and passive. So active passive design features start right from the time when you actually start a first SketchUp on your planning part of it, where you see the different strategies of daylighting, natural ventilation, and solar energy. Uh, but at times you have to, sort of, you have to take a decision that though I had a south-facing wall, so do I give my facade and orient the building east-west so that dead face is on the south, or because I wanted to have a self-imposing mass on the particular highway with a great depth of landscaping which is happening. So can I do some strategies in which we still have a better efficiencies of energies happening? So then we did our modeling in such a way that all the public spaces which had to be given a glass facade was more like lobbies and corridors which had very deep recesses of sunshades, which gave us a better thermal comfort inside and definitely natural lighting. And so once you do this particular thing, you are able to evolve that what are your uncomfortable zones which are going to be created. So then the strategies of sunshade, deeper recesses, fenestrations come in. At the same time, when you have deep fenestration, you have to take care of the lighting quality of spaces inside, uh, and so on. So once we started working on this, the kind of cantilevers what we created, so what should be the horizontal recesses in terms of during equinox. We did some studies that what should be the depth which should be kept in terms of the sunbreakers what we are creating. Should there be any kind of angle to this particular thing and the inclinations which may give a better response to natural light or so and so forth. So all these particular things we actually created the all in all the directions we created all four sides we created these kind of studies. So we had like south side which had longer side. We had to give straight vertical face and also has horizontal fins depending upon the elevational treatments what we created and the depths of overhangs what we created. Uh, so that appropriate penetration of direct sun rays happen inside. And basically, it's all about creating a ambient and comfort comfort areas and temperatures inside the building as well as outside the building. So most of the times we see that people are talking about better indoor quality, a better thermal comfort inside. But at the same time, once you are outside, it's equally important that you have comfortable zones there. So then that's the time when that we came up with the concept of huge cantilevers which were protruding out. You can see in this particular building how these things are moving around. And then we again started working on the particular thing that if we increase the glass standards to certain height, so we added some glasses after that. After basic study, to from 22%, we since ECBC norms gives you gives you permits to till 40%. So we actually increased some zones during in case of cafeterias and all those things, added more glass areas on that particular part, and we increased it to 38%. Still, ratio was within the limits. And so optimization of glass and was used. Now, then we also did, we started working on what kind of glasses do we go for. So we went for performance glasses in such a way that we have a good UV lights, and a whole analysis was done. I think I may have that particular thing also studied. Uh, we did it in such a way that all the four sides had those things. So we actually created the tables in which we were able to work out. We were able to work out a composition of glass which we have proposed here in such a way that the total AC load which I had actually perceived at the start of this particular project was say around 1800 tons, and we were able to, with use of these special glasses, we were able to reduce it to 1300 tons. So there was a saving of running cost saving was more than 80 lakhs per year, and the cost of glass was around 1 CR plus the differential cost, but I think it gets covered in 1 year, and every next year it's going to be saving. So now we went to even the detailing of how these particular luvers need to be placed, and what will be the effect if the luvers are like, what do our architects do? We just draft it and say, "Arey nahi, ye acha lag raha hai, ye acha nahi lag raha hai." But there is a scientific way to justify your design. So what we did was we actually created 2 3 scenes in which we had gaps ranging of 400, 450, 800, 900, and then certain tilts which we would have allowed architecturally 20 degrees, 15 degrees. So we actually did all these analysis because these are like major parts of my facade. So I need to be very conscious about my detailing of my elevation. So we did all these particular things. If there is no tilt and this combination, what it will be. So if this gap is 800 and or 900 and the tilt is this, so what are the case studies we did, and we came out with the whole parameters of different kind of 4 case studies in which we created the models, simulation models about our comforts and light penetrations. So we got the started getting the results that, so these are the 4 cases which we evolved. If we have gaps in case say 400 if we have 800 if we had at least all ABCD cases were evolved, and similarly on the vertical fins also the similar kind of studies were done. And then we also studied about the thing between nil and 20 degrees tilt on the whole structure. So then we came to a particular conclusion. If you see rightly see if you see this particular figure, so percent of daylight achieved in each case on each floors, we were able to put it as case A and case B. So you understand, and then we also had a case C, which was actually 800 to 900, which we saw that the results were not uh, which was not that comfortable, because at times so the daylight was there, but it was adding up to the glare also. And so cumulatively, I think we worked out a particular average system in which case B turned out to be a better solution for us, where we had overall performances working out much better in terms of these cases. So these are another studies, ecotech models, which we created, in which the imaging was done to analyze that second floor, showing comparison readings between A and B. So we did actually these thermal comfort things. So when the daylight, when we do a 400, 450 things without any tilt, so what is the percent of daylight which was achieved to around 67% in case B, when we did with 800, 900 case study, the daylight achieved was 75.8%. So at the same time, we thought that rather than having rooms, then we started having huge lobbies on these particular sites, so that the best environment can be created into these particular zones. So similarly, on different levels, I explained you, we created terrace gardens. So gardens next to the ICUs were given for the, not ICUs, for the wards were given next to this particular. So the wards can actually have their recreation in the evenings on these terraces, so they do not be confined to the rooms. So there were cut sevaks which have been introduced in this particular campus, which actually help you like your assistant, and they take care of you today also. I mean, the things are there. So second benefit, tertially, what I got was that the heat penetration from all these particular roofs decreased. Now the top floor was going to get covered by my solar, so I was not worried about, because there's a good reflection happening from solar panels. But at the same time, at the roofs where active rooms are going to be below this particular thing, these terrace gardens not only help me in creating a healing garden for different users, but also help me in reducing my heat island effect for the building. So imagine if I had not given something like this, and the reflection of the heat from the terrace to this glass, which was an inclined surface, would have added to the uh, to the to my challenge of keeping my AC running efficient. So all of these particular patterns and started on HVAC during summers. So we did a initial strategy, but the work was still going on. What we did was we actually installed the first full 1 megawatt solar plant initially. So when as architects, when you do calculations of your estimation, so around 3 to 4%, we keep it as a cost for contractors for electricity. So my 500 thing would have costed me with 4% on the a huge amount of money on electricity. Say, if not less, it would have been around 20 crores plus. But with this particular thing, till today, I don't think we got a need to buy electricity for construction for some of it. So, but just installation of 4.5, 5 crores of solar plant, I was able to save a running cost of 5 crores every year. So I mean that's the kind of benefit what we got appreciated on this particular thing on various factors. Uh, so overall, what happened with the earlier thing? What were the conclusions? We were able to do a VLT of exterior glass was minimized to 35% to use maximum thing. The gap between certain shades was from 800 to 900 The horizontal fields to be tilted 20-degree upward for some part and straight for some part. So we were able to actually come out with each and every study on the whole thing. So finally, what happened with all these particular strategies that we were had a reduction of 25% of annual energy required for interior lighting and reduction of 52.9% of annual energy required for fans could be achieved. So lots of sustainable features which worked out. So benefits what I got was low life cycle cost, liability got reduced. By health gardens and creating such ambient spaces, we had better health and productivity, better environment, building and marketability gets increased because you have so many features, and the most importantly happiness and comfort index for any person entering this particular thing itself is a testimonial, and the effective design. So coming to the master planning, we actually created lots of biospheres and all those things. Fortunately, we had a biosphere around the plot, and we were able to use some benefits of this particular thing. So we created walkways into shaded portions all around, and we actually merged out our stormwater drains in such a way that it becomes a part of a landscape itself. Then we had similarly, as I told you, we had healing gardens. So we had the various strategies which were created as a part of design at various floors, first floor, second floor, third floor. You see, every floor there were like lots of functions which were created for the ambience to be more open from inside out. So those kind of things were strategized and basically created and given a particular user uh, environment to feel better, feel safe, and less stressed. So this was how we were able to create the whole thing. We sort of, for the efficiency, we were able to do landscape drip irrigation systems. We have 40% of the area with vegetation, and we had lots of soil absorption strategies, in which water absorption strategies on particular things. So rainwater harvesting is not restricted to only tanks, but the whole site acts as a as a tank. STPs were introduced, and all these things are talking to each other. So it's not that AC is working alone and wastewater is working alone. So the whole water cycle has been created so that it's 100% zero discharge uh, project, and so on and so forth. So these are some completed projects, even from inside. When these are the lobbies which we created from inside, where we had used materials and ambience in such a way. And these are basements. This particular site is for that creatives of. These are actual photographs for Lilac area where people come for chemotherapy, and so all these environments have been created according to that. These are next to the OPDs, this particular thing. So these are OPD chambers which exist, and different OPD waiting areas have been creatively designed to, rather than just having a straightforward thing. We use the space in a more creative and more functional parameters. So these are the rooms, general wards, which have been created in the campus. This is broncho room, mammography room. This one machine itself caters to so many of cases of cancer. So this is mammography, this thing, and that was brachotherapy. These are the areas on the right, which is for auditoriums, which we have created next to the terrace garden. On your right, you can see terrace garden. So these are auditoriums which have been created because there are lots of international people for research and development. People are being invited here to give the case studies and study, and the patients have international access to the treatment. So the whole ambience has to be created. Like these are Lilac rooms which have been created. These are that auditorium which I was talking about just upstairs. So this was a solar plant, and from that whole lower part, if you see, in car parking and scooter parking for the whole campus. And then we have created a very interesting walkways around the water body, so that people can just sit down, and the sitting arrangements have also been made. And the best part is that once you go in the evening, the patients and the people who come with the patients, so they actually tend to not wait inside the lobbies, they actually like to sit in the lawns and all those things. So we've done a very simplistically kind of lawn spread so that it invites people to go there. This was when my phase one was inaugurated. Was fortunate enough to be felicitated by Sir Ratan Tata, and he was appreciative of the kind of strategies what we have used in the particular hospital. We won some international awards in 2017 and 18 for the best design awards for oncology centers, and so this now has been sort of converted into a COVID hospital. I mean, that's a different chapter altogether. So this is what was there in as a part of Nagpur planning. Now, what happened was that during this COVID time, we were approached by the corporation that there were some beds had reduced because there were no beds in the hospital like Fortis, Apollo, MGM, Tedna. We have so many hospitals in Navi Mumbai, but we didn't get the beds. So we decided that the exhibition center may be converted into the hospital. So before I start with the presentation, just let me actually give you a small video. I don't know if voice is. Can you hear the voice? So this was a recent challenging job which we came in. To be very frank, none of us knew what is to be done. Uh, so before taking this assignment, there was some study which I had to do. I had to go through the WHO guidelines which have been given for COVID planning and so on and so forth. And there was some national and international guidelines which were issued by various departments on this particular part. Nevertheless, since the study is still going on, so I think these are all indicative studies and indicative kind of suggestions by different departments. However, a very tricky situation is when you're told that you have to come out with 1.5 lakh square feet hospital and be ready with the interiors and everything in 20 days time. So that's where my nightmare started, and that's how what we did was we actually treated it as a specialty hospital, not in terms of extreme care, but till the critical care this thing. And then of course it is ICU and all were supposed to be the main hospital. So basically, this hospital was created to divert the traffic of people who are utilizing the beds with the unsymptomatic patients or symptomatic patients in the main hospital. So by this now, lots of things have eased out. Uh, the whole thing. So study was very important. Fortunately, it was designed by one of my friends, Ratan Botley, by whom I had worked with when I was in college, and he was very kind enough to provide us with all the data which were there. And so we actually studied the whole system, and we realized. So when I came in, they were thinking that we need to create a isolation center like this, and which I said it's not possible. There's a huge space with air conditioning and with this kind of flooring. I think where the hygiene goes, where the toilets would go. Toilets are designed as for auditorium, but for hospital there's a different trend. So we had to create more than 300, 400 toilet blocks into this particular zone. So when we did this study of isolation quarantine care centers, we came out with the particular fact what are the areas which are required as a comprehensive study. So triage areas, isolation wards, ICUs, laboratory areas, CSSD units, central staff, ancillary support, kitchen material stores, etc. So when we discussed with the department, I think everybody told us that let's not get into the extreme cases, because extreme cases will not be able to treat here. We'll have to send them uh, back to the main hospital. But yes, triage where we can have easily access, and path labs if we can create, and which can have a good you can say semi spots before people get to the thing. Many people can be treated at this particular zone and are sent back. So this was the salient features of what we created. The area of the facility was around 1.42 lakh square feet. Total bed was around 1149. General was 632. Oxygenated beds are requirement. So you have one category of beds, and then you have oxygenated beds for further serious patients in which oxygen levels have gone down and they require care. Then 10 triage beds for observation beds, you can call them, located at the immediately at the entrance. Then ICU beds have been created for 7, but no ICU treatments. It's only to just transit for the transit time where some ICU patients come in, so they can be taken care by. So they may have some ventilators and all those facilities there. Then we also thought that we should give a doctors and staff accommodation within this particular campus. So that was very important because the doctors don't have to move out and come in again and again. Then then even the smallest of things like pharmacy, X-rays, dialysis, pathology. Idea is to reduce the pressure from the existing hospitals which are existing, so that they can be converted into ICUs and for extreme cases, so those kind of things we went on. The flooring specifications had to be anti-static, antibacterial partitions. What could have been the system where I could have raised the partition within 3 days time, so that detailing was very important. And cost, of course, nobody wanted to spend on the pocket, so cost had to be very conservative. Then toilet, how can you create up 400, 450 toilets overnight? So we decided we'll go for portable kind of systems. So like what happens in Kumbh Ka Mela, you have those kind of toilets which can be installed and dismantled again. So wards which were to be created, so we created around various wards in which we had oxygenated, non-oxygenated beds, and in those particular things, ladies, gents, all everything was. So we had like so many of wards which were created so that uh, different kind of level of people, level of patients can be treated at various levels, and strict separation of male and female patients have been sort of arrived. So, so critical facility zoning, what we did was parameters of zoning. The entrance areas were planned so that uh, there actually are no visitors, but yeah, there have been some waiting for some people, screening, ambulance staff and staff parking, and then there was some space planning for doctors and all those people, nurses. They had a different entrance altogether. So those are to be segregated. Space planning was to be done so there has a buffer space which acts as a safe assembly area for people which are entering or perhaps people who get okay and who move out to the from the green zone. Then circulation and movement. Corridors should be spacious enough, cannot be cramped up. Minimum sizes as per the NBC should be kept, but we then facility management systems. So if something happens and the kind of things happen where person's bodies are to be kept, or fortunately for this we ruled out because we were not taking any intense patients here. But still, you need the dining services and all this. So we didn't want to spend money again on kitchens, so we did subcontract to the caterers who were providing hop over, providing food. So we had food banks from which the distribution used to happen to different boards, and then we had the garbage disposal system and which all the wet and dry waste go out. Then we had isolation wards, which were categorized to normal and critical care. Critical means even if somebody needs oxygen, we call it critical now because that monitoring is very important. And important, best thing is that the entry and exit for the patient, where the registration happens and where the exit registration happens, that critically moves on the same parameters. So the proposed zones were created like this. If you see the purple ones, all additional toilet blocks were actually fabricated. So within 20, 21 days, all these particular toilets were created. So each and every block, whichever comes in the central area, ward zones were actually given an independent access of every wards to these particular toilets. So there, the whole ecosystem was running on their own. Then we had an area which was secured for doctors, which you see on this particular site, which had a complete a system in which doctors, nurses, whoever come from the stay, they can enter here. So these are non-infected areas. And then this was area in which all the patients and all those things. So now we have created sort of some registration areas on this particular zone also. So as you go behind, like as you go this, but actually this is the right proportion. You go back. So here we created a dormitory for doctors and nurses, and then on the right we actually created even the space for NGOs who were willing to help us. On the upper floor again, we had to give the whole thing. So if you see, once you come inside from this particular area, the registration counters, you come inside. So the central portion becomes triage. Then we had different wards. Every ward had connected to individual connection to the toilets, and they are like secluded areas. You cannot move around the same thing. Important even safety factors we had considered adequate fire exits and because they're oxygenated beds and all, if anything goes wrong, or and the temporary facility. So they have the independent access systems for each and every ward. So that's the prime safety what we had to consider while designing the whole thing. The whole building was air conditioned. So what we need to do is as per new norms for COVID, we needed more air changes. We needed the purification of air which is going to come out. So we actually got some UV lights which were placed in AHUs at the air through areas, so that all the air which moves out is actually sanitized by UV lights, and similar microfilters for all exhaust circulations happening. So those microfilters were sort of used into that particular thing. So these were typically fire exit plans which were given with each and everything. So every room, every ward was given with a 65, is being given with a 65 inches TV, so that um, I mean the most important factor in COVID is also becoming is also that you have to treat a patient psychologically. So a lot many things like yoga and all these particular things have been activated so that people are involved while they are staying there and being quarantined into these particular programs. So these were the typical kind of systems in which we did the planning, and these are the doctors' dormitories. Now, in fact, we've been told that let's convert these dormitories into ICU beds because again, the things are rising in Mumbai so badly that the doctors can come from their homes. But I think we are trying to do 100 beds ICU centers here. So this is when we started the work that we started with the partitions, just a 25 mm partition system. It was a lockdown. I could get anything. So I had to arrange 300 labors and the materials. So overnight we contacted the companies who were able to support us. So fortunately we were able to get MS angles to this extent. They were ready to give us in 48 hours. And so the logistics started putting all these particular things together. See day-to-day kind of progressive photographs which kept on happening. Uh, the beds were in Bangalore, so every day 350 beds were being manufactured and being sent to Mumbai from Bangalore. So whole things were like very well synchronized. The furniture was being synchronized. Nurses stations, if you see, lots of nurses stations were placed. Like every part had a nurses station overlooking the whole thing. If you see TVs at two locations given so that people have some level of this thing. Then flooring was PCC, so that was to be converted into a. So we did a this linoleum flooring, varying from 2 mm to 4 mm thickness every places. So the light gives a good effect, and the whole environment becomes fresh and comfortable. So this was what it was. I think we can just uh, have this presentation and conclude by saying that human use, population, and technology have reached that certain stage where mother no longer accepts our presence with silence. So in COVID or post-COVID or pre-COVID, we need to speak up, we need to act, and we need to respond. That's that's where I like to end my presentation, and I would like to thank you for your patience and time. I know since there was lots of uh, what do you call intermissions breaks because of some IT issues, but I think it's just and let's hope we are better next time, and this session was useful to you. Thank you. So if you have any question answers, I mean, I will be more than happy to answer them. I think I'll have to put the mute has to be done by me, or uh, Principal Mahindra. I think I'm ready for question answers if there is any. I can't hear you. Just hold on. I can Anshu. Yeah, Anshu. Yeah, yeah.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, Hitenji, we'll have this lecture once again because of a lot of technical issues.
Yeah.
So we'll have this in say after 10 days. I'll organize it again because of some noise notification. It was not able to hear you properly and we didn't want to interrupt you in between.
Yeah.
So we'll just have it after say 10 days again once more. Yeah.
Okay. Anything for you?
Yeah. 1 second. She wants to speak. Yeah.
We are extremely sorry for constant interruption due to technical errors. On behalf of Improved Education Trust, S.V. Patil College of Architecture and Design, I, Professor Harshada Vazarkar, take this opportunity to thank our Honorable Chief Guest, Aseti, for making this webinar more knowledgeable.
Voice is breaking. I think. हर्षदा जी आपकी वॉइस हैंग कर गया है शायद. हेलो. हेलो.
I am inspired. Yes. So you accepted this invitation and grace this invitation and grace this your presence. Mr. Anshul Gupta and Professor Ketan Desle, Architect Chaitanya Bagu, Architect Akshata, and all for coordinating this complete event with full enthusiasm. My special thanks to our Honorable Principal, Dr. Mahendra Sonone, who took an initiative and all for coordinating this complete event and making this webinar possible to all our students. Even during lockdown period. Please focus your overwhelming responses to the webinar. Thank you. Take care and be safe.
Thank you.